Do not fear the deep. Oh, there are monsters there to be sure, but they have small interest in such poor prey as yourself. Though the deep is mighty in its weight, and all but void of the light of day, it is untroubled by the storms and squalls that whip and froth the surface. And while not without its currents and eddies, it is a place of peace and stillness. Do not fear the deep, for from it are we made, and unto it do we return. The deep is within us all. Do not fear the deep. Brother Bikram's declaration is ever present in my mind, a constant refrain that is reflected in my thoughts, words, and actions. It is a statement of faith, a testament to our chapter's devotion to our cause, and a reminder that what is on the surface is rarely indicative of what lies below. We are more than the armor we wear or the weapons we wield, more than the colors we fly or the banners that hang in our halls, more than the stories of our forebears or the legends of our heroes. As Astartes, we are, at least in this current age of man, wrought and forged for a singular purpose: to bring the divine justice of the Deep Father to his foes through trident and bolter. But we are more than mindless simulacra, more than mere marionettes with strings to be tugged and teased by the lords of terror. We are battle brothers, the Krakengard, lords of the black waters of the sea world Leviathan, and masters of the Silent Isles. And while battle is our primary function, our skills extend so far beyond the slaying of foemen. We are not only masters of combat, making war with trident and bolter in equal measure, but also of thought and philosophy, oration and debate, music and literature. Make yourself a pupil of all masters, for it is a poor and dull mind that fails to find wisdom in all things. We are taught to see all things in all ways, to understand that what we see on the surface is often either a reflection or a refraction, and is rarely indicative of what the deeper truth or reality is. What is seen or shown in battle or wordplay might be naught but chop and froth, with greater threats lying in wait beneath. It is not just our prowess in battle, nor our Fenrisian lineage that makes us so effective in service to the Deep Father and his Imperium, though those are powerful totems in their own right, but rather the willingness to delve depths untouched by other chapters, to chart territories beyond the Deep Father's eternal north, and to, without fear or hesitation, lay ourselves against the gravest of dangers. The infinite waves of the Imperium's foes crash against our hulls with incessant fury, but ever are we true in our course, unencumbered by the weight and savagery of the galactic maelstrom. It is in combat, however, where our true value as servants of the Deep Father shines, and it is in those moments of chaos when I delve deepest into the rage that froths in my soul, letting loose the monsters of the deep so that they might harry and plague my foemen. Do not fear the deep. Such are the last words my mind consciously brings to bear as I plow headlong into the throng of mewling chaos cultists who scream and roar the unholy names of their false idols in feverish delight. Their weapons are simple and crude: cudgels, heavy blades, and solid slug firearms, none of which at least individually represent any real threat. En masse, however, even the meanest of foes suddenly becomes a very real danger to even the mightiest of the Deep Father's warriors. But I am unconcerned. I lay about me with my trident, Serpent's Bane, a power weapon that is, to the best of my knowledge, unique to our chapter. twirling the 4-meter weapon end over end, battering down with haft and butt those who are not outright impaled upon its crackling tines. Such is the reach of the weapon, that within heartbeats I have carved a bloody swathe into the ranks of the traitors, trampling and stomping those unfortunate enough to be caught beneath my boots. My armor's machine spirit chirps and chimes in my ears, registering and relaying information regarding every blow landed against me. But as of yet, there is nothing to fear. For the Deep Father! I feel the call as much as hear it, as my brothers, clad in their deep blue plate and wielding long-hafted tridents and spears in their own right, crash into the masses of cultists, sundering any semblance of formation and unity and making short work of those deranged enough to stand against them. Real-time battle data streams into my helm, projected onto my retinas so that the battlefield is a multi-layered web of information and feedback. My armor's machine spirit identifies Brother Helios to my left and Brother Cadmus to my right. And for all the savagery of the melee, I smile. They are masterful warriors in their own right, furious and unrelenting in their persecution of the Deep Father's enemies. Each a bulwark against the monstrosities of the deep and the dark, but together they are unstoppable. Helios is a master of the trident and wields it as an extension of his own body, where Cadmus is unparalleled with shield and short spear, turning aside blow after blow only to land his own with unerring precision. As I thrust and batter and crush, I see a particularly large cultist appear, bullying his way through the ranks of his smaller comrades in pursuit of, I can only imagine, recognition from his Chaos Masters or the dark gods to which he pays homage. He stands nearly as tall as I, and just as bulky under his weathered and pocked armor, and hefts in each hand a brutal-looking cleaver. As he clears the masses of his kin, he roars and gestures in my direction, clashing his heavy blades together, then baring his thickly muscled chest to me. His guttural utterance is lost on me, but the challenge is clear enough. My response is wordless and immediate. A quick heft of Serpent's Bane to a throwing stance, a brief judge of the distance between us, and a lightning-fast launch that sends the 3-tined weapon whistling through the air. The throw is unerring in its accuracy and finds its mark in the blink of an eye, burying all 3 prongs deep in the cultist brawler thick neck, puncturing his airway and arteries and breaking his spine. The weight of the weapon is significant in its own right, enough to topple a mortal man, but coupled with the strength of my arm and armor, the force of the throw rips the cultist from his feet and sends him tumbling backwards into his kin. I'm moving before the corpse comes to a rest, drawing my combat knife from my waist and hacking my way into the quickly closing ranks of cultists, who, to their credit, overcome the shock of seeing their champion laid low with unrestrained temerity. Cadmus! Helios! To me, brothers! The icons broadcast onto my retinas indicating my battle brothers blink in acknowledgement and move in response to my command, converging on my position. I cannot physically see them, but trust the information relayed by my armor systems and the battle sense we have crafted over the years. Simply put, I know they will be where I need them, when I need them. I reach the fallen cultist in a matter of heartbeats and rip my trident from his neck in a flourish, spraying his fellows with traitorous blood and anointing them next to receive the judgment of the Deep Father. In one gauntlet I wield my knife, a hard-edged angular piece of steel the length of a mortal's forearm, and in the other, Serpent's Bane. And in the fury and flurry of combat I become as death, pivoting and spinning from foe to foe, flowing smoothly from one engagement to the next, turning aside blade and barrel with knife and trident, meting out justice and punishment with every thrust and lunge. Cadmus and Helios have fallen in on my right and left flanks, and together we form a 3-pronged wedge driving deep into the heart of the enemy ranks. Battle reports populating on my retinal display inform me that many of my brothers are doing the same, cutting their way through the lines of cultists and driving hard toward the Chaos Marines that lie in wait at the rear of the enemy formation. Chaos in all its forms is ever the same, throwing ranks of fodder against the enemy while its champions stand back and observe, letting the enemy's strength wane so that they might strike at the most opportune moment. It is cowardice that drives them, an overwhelming sense of self-preservation and a true lack of anything worth fighting and dying for. We, the Krakengard, loyal servants of the Deep Father and his Imperium, masters of the seas and stars, do not fear, do not shrink away when challenged, and are ever the bow against which the enemy breaks. Do not fear the deep.
Forward, brothers! The true enemy is not far now! Let them taste the cold steel of the sons of Leviathan! For the Deep Father!
Cadmus's words crackle through my helm's audio relay, distorted by the charged atmospherics of the battlefield, but reach my ears and my spirit nonetheless, inspiring more fervent and focused action. I lash out with my boot, crushing a cultist's ribcage and clearing some space around me. I take the moment to sheath my knife, allowing both hands the freedom to wield my trident, which, as I thumb the activation rune, blossoms into a storm of arcing energy that leaps and snaps in bursts of ozone-burning fury.
Brothers, advance! Let our mortal allies handle this filth! There are more fearsome monsters waiting!
Again, the ident runes on my retinal display blink in acknowledgement, and then we are on the move, barreling and shouldering our way through the ranks of cultists in a push to clear the melee and bring the fight to the real traitors. I register not only my squad, but multiple others as well, pushing forward, eager to close the distance between us and the heretics ahead. As I swat aside a screaming cultist, his face tattooed with the 8-pointed star of chaos, I blink-click a rune on my visor's display, activating the pick magnifiers in my helm's lenses and zooming in on the field ahead. I can see them now, the traitors, standing well over a head taller than their mortal counterparts, bedecked in their black and bronze armor and sporting towering trophy poles decorated with skulls and helms and other grotesque fetishes. The legions of chaos are many and varied, with untold warbands and splinter factions to their name, some more esoteric and mysterious than others. But there is no mistaking the hulking warriors that sway before us. They are surely brethren of the Black Legion, one of the most infamous and troublesome of the traitor legions. I am unsure if this is the Black Legion proper, that legion driven and led by the arch-traitor Horus, or an offshoot warband seeking to make a name for itself. But either way, I am unconcerned. They are traitors and heretics all, and will suffer a traitor's death at the end of my trident. I lower my shoulder and break into a sprint, thundering through frail and malnourished mortal frames and turning their bones to dust beneath my boots. The monsters of the deep have awakened in me, and my blood is up at the sight of the foul betrayers. My armor's machine spirit, ever vigilant and watchful, floods my system with a bolus of combat stims, sharpening my focus and driving my desire for brutal violence even higher. The traitor marines wait behind a line of heavy bolter nests, stationary emplacements fortified with sandbags and flakboard and manned by cultists. Astarte's battle plate is resilient and durable, capable of turning aside all but the most savage and powerful of munitions. But concentrated fire from multiple vectors at close range and of high caliber will easily bring down even the hardiest of warriors.
Grenades!
Helios, Cadmus and I act almost as one, pulling heavy and high-powered frag grenades from our belts, priming them for a quick detonation and hurling them towards the nests, which have, unfortunately for us, taken notice of our presence and have started tracking in our direction atop their spider-legged spindle mounts. By the blessings of the Deep Father, though, our grenades detonate before their nests can open fire, erupting in a blaze of flame and fury that buffets the immediate areas with a wash of shrapnel and overpressure. Screams echo briefly from the wreckage, and through the smoke I can see the silhouettes of flaming bodies flailing in agony. It brings me no small pleasure to wreak havoc on the foes of humanity. Still, I have no time to spend relishing the moment, for our pyrotechnics have drawn the attention of the Legionnaires, who, unconcerned for the lives of their minions, open fire with their archaic and ancient bolters, spitting deaths into the ranks of cultists in their efforts to lay us low. Collateral damage is of no concern to them. The lives of their lessers are spent freely and without thought, and so it is with apathy and single-minded purpose that they proceed along their course of action. A hail of withering munitions peppers our position, hocking and cratering our armor as mass reactive shells, desecrated by profane rites and ministrations, erupt against scaled ceramite. The storm is fearsome, but we are the Krakengard, sons of Leviathan, masters of the open sea, and we do not fear the deep.
Press forward, brothers! Let them break upon our prows!
Again, Cadmus's words crackle across the Voxnet, rousing my spirit and driving my battle lust to greater heights. Our armor, though ponderous and cumbersome, provides through the anointings and ministrations of both the Mechanicus and our thrall armorers great speed and power, as do our enhanced physiologies. And it is upon both of these that I rely as I surge into the teeming throngs of raving fodder, crashing into their maddened numbers with cold and unrelenting might. It is but a moment before I have thundered through the flailing lines of underlings and closed ranks with their treasonous masters. My power trident crackling with actinic fury as it lashes out toward the nearest legionnaire. The Chaos Marine, encased in bronze and black, parries the blow with a flanged maul, turning my lunge up and away so that my weapon pierces the empty space above his shoulder. He is a lumbering brute, swollen with the powers of chaos, and his parry nearly robs me of my balance and poise. I can feel the traitor's excitement, the anticipation of the kill, and it brings me joy to quench the fires burning behind his glowing lenses. I feint in balance, allowing a moment of hesitation to pass, inviting my foe to close the middle distance between us. Chaos Marines are some of the most ancient enemies of the Imperium, and carry with them centuries of experience and expertise. It is a gamble, leaving myself exposed, and one that I do not make lightly. Even the smallest of miscalculations can yield disaster, and in the tightly spun tapestry of battle and combat, disaster means death. My gamble pays off as the traitor lowers his shoulder and rumbles forward to barrel me over. His weight is tipped, his intent committed, and I hold the upper hand. As he lumbers in, weathered servos groaning in protest, I use the momentum of my fate to pivot, spinning on my heel and bringing the crackling tines of Serpent's Bane to bear. The traitor's weight and preternatural speed are against him in this moment, for as my trident streaks along its thrumming arc, he cannot check his advance. Serpent's Bane finds its mark, piercing the layers of ancient ceramite of his breastplate and finding the twin hearts encased beneath. His bulk and momentum drive me skidding backward, my boots digging deep furrows into the red earth of the planet's brutalized surface until we come to a shuddering halt. A distorted grunt of pain escapes his demonic voxgrill, followed closely by a curse, and though gravely wounded, he is not yet out of the fight. The traitor's power maul explodes to life, bathing my blue armor in lurid violet light, and he weakly attempts to bring the weapon to bear. It is a weapon meant to pummel and bludgeon, to pulverize and pulp, and is not fit for the precision of close combat. All the same, with its power field activated, it is a potent menace, and one I would do well to quell. With our momentum quieted, I surrender my grip on Serpent's Bane, and in almost the same moment grip the scaled handle of my combat knife, peeling it from its place on my belt with practiced ease and precision. My free hand finds the traitor's chin, driving his head back to expose the soft seals of his underarmor and carapace. My knife hand strikes, burying the meter-long length of cold steel in his throat, puncturing his neck and stealing his breath. Black blood spills from the wound, steaming and bubbling as it oozes over my gauntlet. I pull the blade free, feeling the vacuum of the wound sucking at the steel, and plunge it in again once, then twice more into the side of his neck for good measure before breaking our embrace. His maul drops to the red dirt, spitting and popping as its power field falls silent, and he follows suit, his taloned gauntlets clutching at his savage throat in a vain attempt to stem the flow of blood. There is no time to revel in my victory, for there are more heretics to be punished, more dogs to be put down. I grip the leather-wrapped haft of Serpent's Bane and pull it free, letting the traitor fall face down, forgotten to the ground. Do not fear the deep.
No! We sons of Leviathan, masters of the open seas, bearers of the Deep Father's infinite rage, do not fear the deep. We, his progeny and protectors, his heralds and angels, are the deep. And it is we who are to be feared.
I press forward, ever inexorably forward, trident in hand, teeth bared in a hunter's grin, to bring the judgment of the deep to the enemies of the Deep Father and mankind.